Okay, before I get into the main problem with this assembly on the steering stem, I just want to highlight this pin that holds it all together, because I only discovered whilst looking at the rest of the assembly that actually there's nothing holding this pin in place. It can just work itself loose. If you look in the end here, there are no threads for a nut to go on that side, or there's no hole for a split pin. Okay, so just let me push that there. That's the pin in, and that's all there is to it. There's nothing to stop that popping out again. Now, with respect to the actual assembly itself, as you can see, we fold here. This lever here locks into place, or is supposed to lock into place, to prevent the whole assembly from opening. And the intention is that you press the side bit, and then the lever comes down, and you can fold out of the way. However, this doesn't work. It's a piece of cake to override it. Slightest pull, indeed, I find just the vibration of cycling, and it'll open itself. Okay, I'm going to demonstrate how this mechanism should work. As you can see, down at the bottom here is a little tag, and here we have the, I'll call it the trigger, which should release the whole lock mechanism. The idea is that if I pull the trigger, the bit at the bottom next to the tag rotates out of the way, thus leaving the whole locking lever free to come away. However, you'll notice as the locking lever moves, the tag actually moves downwards. It withdraws itself due, I assume, to an eccentricity in the whole shape of the unit. But the result of that is that as I just move the lever, the tag starts moving down, and consequently the bottom of the trigger just slides over the corner of the tag, thus rendering the trigger useless as a locking mechanism. Unbelievably poor design. Can't believe anybody was allowed to put that into production. A peer review should have shown that that was clearly unsuitable for purpose. Okay, the last bit to look at, and this is the most serious, well, certainly combined with the locking trigger mechanism certainly becomes very serious, is this section at the front. This is the bit that actually locks the steering column into its upright position for cycling, and the tension within the mechanism is controlled by this screw, which accepts an Allen key. It's got a hex-shaped hole. Let me just open it so you can see. Essentially, this lug is shaped to go into these two grooved pieces. So we close up, lock the lever, and it pulls the lug into position to lock everything up. However, as I said, how far in or out the lug sits is adjustable by turning this screw. Obviously, when you set this, it needs to be done in a manner whereby it cannot come loose by itself. So it should be either the screw should be going into some sort of a nylock nut, a captive nylock nut, or thread lock needs to be used on the threads as it's set in the factory. This had clearly not been done, because what I discovered today was that over time this screw has worked itself loose, such that the lug was sitting out a bit, and consequently the lever at the back just had to, just from normal jiggling, get to about that position, and suddenly the handlebar just collapses, and that happened on me while I was cycling. The solution, of course, is just to tighten the lug up, and then there's no danger. You have to get all the way back to there before it comes undone. However, given what I've already pointed out about the fact that the trigger lock doesn't work, it is conceivable that it could get to there by itself just by vibration from cycling. Now at the moment there is a little bit of friction at the point where the bottom of the trigger goes over the lug. Hopefully that would be just enough to stop it working loose, but I shouldn't be having to rely on that. That needs to be an absolutely foolproof mechanism. This is just utterly unacceptable, and is just a horrendous accident waiting to happen.